question. Coach, yeah, just maybe your opening remarks, your thoughts heading into this match. You play up against Mathaithai FC, a team that probably, to most might be unknown. But yeah, your thoughts about them as well as the match tomorrow.
Should be this. It's just something here. Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks, Fatu. Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. We've tried to do our intel and try to collect as much information as we possibly can. We've tried to profile them from if you look at where they are within the ABC Motsepe League, they sit in position 4. They played on Sunday, which is yesterday, and they won 1-0. There are still a couple of points behind the General, who sits number 1. They've got 15 points in position 4, and the first team is in 26 points. So the situation is a bit complex for them in the league, but of course, because maybe of a bit more focus on their cup run, they've managed to do very well to get to the stage. They've got some very good players individually. They play a 4-3 half to be able to start the build-ups. They've got a very good goalkeeper in Umbali Shabalala, very confident on the ball, very industrious, very aggressive in initiating build-ups, comfortable with his distribution. Yeah, they've probably their best player in Central. Central, the number 77, he used to play for Vasco da Gama and Bloemfontein Celtics, and even the under 23s, he's got a couple of caps. Okay, of course, maybe more experience now and above the 30 age mark, but still you can see his versatility in being able to help them play as a 9, play as a 10, play sometimes even as one of the double 8s. But up front, they've got a very, very, very fast attack. They've got a boy called Rashford, the number 11, who's their focal point, quick, aggressive, looks to play behind the strikers, takes wing play a lot, and his crossing ability for that type of role is not so bad. They've got Simunye, who I think is probably their most dangerous player. Simunye Mudise, the number 10, very, very aggressive in his dribbling abilities, gets into the final third, inverts and plays more in central areas, and provides a lot of problems. And then I think their main goal scorer is a boy called Koloi. They call him Koloi, and he's the one that really is a goal threat for them. But yeah, a good team, a team that we've tried to work on a lot last night and try to gather as much information on. They changed and rested a couple of key players in their game yesterday, but good. Hopefully, the information that we've collected comes in handy for us to be able to win the match tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach. I'm going to take questions from the floor. I think we'll start with the usual suspect, Karabo.
I hope he's not going to ask me to apologize also.
Karabo, you can go ahead. Maybe Karabo, before you start, I just want to remind colleagues that, as you see on the screen, it's a Nedbank Cup press conference. So let's try and keep the questions, within. I'm sure, I know there's a big match coming up this weekend in another competition, but I'm sure there will be other opportunities for that one. But we're concentrating mainly on the Nedbank Cup fixture that takes place tomorrow. So Karabo, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fatu. Good morning, coach, and good morning to all my colleagues as well. Coach, you come into this game after a loss, and they come into this game with a win. Obviously, the confidence is a bit high. And coach, I'm sure you've spoken about you guys doing your video analysis, and I think it's quite adamant. It's quite clear as to how you guys lost over the course of the weekend. What is the mood of the players in camp, seeing that the way that they lost was a bit dampening? So what is the mood like in camp? Going into the game tomorrow, and secondly, coach, players such as George Maluleka, I would likely to see them, get some game time, or other players that haven't got a lot of minutes under the belt playing tomorrow against a APC Motsepe side, with all due respect, looks a foregone conclusion. Thank you.
Yeah, Karabo. Yeah, thanks. Look, we lost a match we should not have lost, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the events that of course everyone saw, and they've become an important talking point. I hope that normally we have the Monday show where there's reviews of decisions, and sometimes we try our utmost best on that show to find some form of logic, some form of I don't know how we look at the things in trying to also protect the integrity of the referees. But I think sometimes the only way to improve is addressing the elephant that's in the room, and trying to be frank and realistic in relation to facing a problem before it becomes a pandemic. But I think you guys know that I don't like speaking about the referees. I refrain from that. I do know the consequences that follow from that. And still having a very long way with my coaching career, I do not want to have these things always lingering above my head. So everyone saw, and I think it's best to be addressed by the media and more than us, because we might then also find ourselves with a situation where we are dealing with a miniature pandemic, and it could really go into being that sort of problem. But having said that, we played extremely well against Maritzburg. We created a lot of chances. We stuck to the game plan, and some of the patterns that we had trained, of course, only for one day, were very evident. So we were very happy with that. We are happy with the personality of the team. We played with a lot of aggression. We played with a lot of intensity. We kept trying to create the first goal, and when we got it, we kept trying to create the second goal. And of course, that is what we want to try to do. We dominated the ball. Our counter press and our ability to regain the ball back against a very difficult side who are very pragmatic in the way they set the team up. Not easy to play against a team that has seven defenders on the pitch. In the first line, you've already got a back three that can easily get to a back five with the wing backs. And then you've got an Alfred Ndengane that is sitting right on top of them. And then, of course, a very narrow midfield with also a Keegan Ritchie on the left and Unchangas. So it's very difficult, but we did very well, and we are happy with the performance. That type of game is a reflection of what I always say, that coaches can never promise results. Ours is to promise performances and try to make sure that the performances are good enough to be sustainable. And to be sustainable, that helps you to say to yourself that if you play the same game 10 times, then you know that 9 times out of 10, you would put yourself in a position to win, especially with that type of performance. So we were very content with that, and looking to build from that. Whether or not you will see a couple of players that have not featured, the reality is we first, and the biggest promise we made to the players is that the selection is made on meritocracy, and we try to merit and reward players that deserve the opportunity to play. based on not just the performances in matches, but performances at training, attitude at training, the body language and how they carry themselves. And then you also speak about the factor that is very, very important. And I think you've seen over the last couple of games how we've gone about with our rotation and giving certain players like Lisedi a chance. Brian Onyango has been in, and Grant has come back also, and we've tried to rotate a little bit in the defensive line. Hashim Domingo has been outstanding, and he's been given a chance, and he's taken it. Mkhulisi has also come in and put his hand up. And then we've also got Kutumela coming back from injury and slowly getting into the groove. Now Mayema also in that type of space. You've seen Kermit also featuring recently. So it's not just meritocracy alone, but it's also about the principle of rotation, individual periodization, because we've got a lot of games, and we know that to succeed and to achieve what we want to achieve this year, we've got a lot of games that we have to win. And part to that is to make sure that we are not just technically ready, but also mentally and physically ready in a good state of mind. And yeah, we look forward to tomorrow's game, and we'll put the best team out on the pitch. We'll put the best players. We've got a very good squad, and that's why we have as many players as we have, so that we can give opportunities to certain players and rotate the squad, but also not dampening or weakening ourselves in relation to the schemes and the work that we do. And that's why we train for the team. We don't train for the players to play. We train for the team. We train for the group, and everybody knows the way we want to play, the way we want to build from the back and apply our processes, the way we want to press from the top, and yeah, good. So we're excited, and it shouldn't be very difficult to get the players mentally ready for the next match.
Thank you, Coach. Let's move on to Mazola. I thought you were on holiday, my man.
No, I'm back. Thank you, Fatu.
Welcome back, Mazola.
Thanks, Coach. Coach, obviously you mentioned having a big squad, and that's obviously one of the perks, the advantage that Sundowns have. But the last couple of weeks also, some players have taken a bit of a battering with injuries. I just wanted to get an update on, because it looked like quite a long list of players that are on the injury list, and obviously the Nedbank Cup, Champions League, and league games also still to follow. Is there a positive update? What is the latest with some of the players like Owen and Safranco and the goalkeeper and things like that?
Yeah, no, Mazola is still the same. We will take a long time if we go through it, but it's still the same. The status quo hasn't changed. The doctors will assess some of the players. Maybe only Gaston is now again back onto that list, having suffered a calf strain in a friendly match on Saturday. And that has set him back a little bit after he was still recovering from the nose incident that fractured his nose. And even while he was still getting accustomed to playing with a lot of comfortability while wearing the face mask, now unfortunately he suffered another setback. But yeah, good. Kennedy has shown also that when you are given an opportunity, you have to take it, and I think that goes for everybody else. We don't focus too much on who's out, but we focus a lot more on who's available and giving them our energy, giving them our confidence and belief to be able to carry on and take the baton and continue with this relay, and with a clear understanding that it's going to be very intense towards the end. But it's an intensity that we enjoy, and it's pressure that we understand only forms part of the privileged few, because we want to be competing in all competitions. We want to be the Mamelodi Sundowns that is trying to win every single match. And when you are in that space, you understand that the counter consequences of that is that you suffer a lot from wear and tear. But of course, then you've got to try to preempt those by making sure that the squad is good enough, strong enough to be able to resist the volume of games that come thick and fast.
Thank you, Mazola and Coach. Tsepang, the iPhone.
Good morning, Coach. Everyone else. Tsepang from Soccer Laduma. Coach, Mosa Lebusa, I just wanted to check how he's doing, because when I spoke to him at the Nedbank Cup draw last time, he was saying he's back on the pitch, training, and probably should be available for selection soon. So I just wanted to get how he's doing and how close he is to coming back.
Yeah, he's not so far. The process of returning from injury is twofold. One is getting the nod to return to training, which Mosa has already moved into that space. So once you move from the medical department, the biokineticists, you then move into a space where you start working with the physical trainers. And once you start working with the physical trainers, the objective is to try to track, monitor your cognitive load. Once the physical trainers are very happy with that, then you get into a stage where there's a lot of strengthening work that is done, injury prevention work done, which is what Mosa is currently busy with. That then to a certain extent gives you a license to start team training, and team training moves away from the straight line running, which Mosa fortunately has gone beyond, and is now taking part in certain parts of the training session, technical aspects in the early stages of the session. And he's got to now patiently progress and graduate into a space where he's then available for selection, which is the last stage of returning from injury. And of course, it's up to him, the player, also about how he feels and how ready he feels that he is, and also in relation to the level of pain. But yeah, we're excited that we will have him back very soon. There was a moment we only had two center backs available in Brian Onyango and Rush, and we never complained. We just kept going and kept working, and then we got Grant back, and that gives us at least a little bit of possibilities to still try to rotate, and we tried to do that in the game against Maritzburg, where we gave Brian Onyango a bit of a break. For the last 4 years maybe, Brian hasn't even played 2 games in succession, and here he is going 4 or 5 games in a row at a very high level. And of course, we've got to be very careful in terms of not over utilizing him and putting him in a position where he could get into a position where the injury could reoccur. But yeah, Mosa is one of our most important center backs. He gives us so many possibilities. He covers possibly 3 positions in a defensive midfield, center half, left center back, the left foot on the left, in the balance in relation to the build-up schemes that we have. Very, very important for us on many aspects, including the work ethic, the leadership, and the intensity that he provides for the team, both on defensive and offensive set pieces. So we're looking forward to having him back, and we'll be very excited once he's available for selection.
Okay, I'll take the last 3 questions, and I'll just ask that each person just ask 1 question so that we can give others a chance. Sobri, you up next.
Sobri Chabalala from TBR Solution Sports Program. Thank you, Fatu. Coach, I'm going to start by saying congratulations to you guys. You are doing quite well. I normally say Pep Guardiola is the only coach that can rotate, but Sundowns are on that footstep. Coach, there is any chance of us seeing George Maluleka before the end of the season?
Yeah. You just have to also come a lot more to training. He's always here, training with a smile, working very, very hard. He's also available for selection, and he's in a very good position. I mean, George is a senior player here. George is a player that has achieved so much in football. He's a player that we rely a lot on in our changing room. The experience that he has, the leadership qualities that he possesses in terms of mentoring and supporting and guiding the younger ones. But of course, George is a football player, and like every other football player, George wants to be on the pitch. He's come very close to being part of the starting lineup in several games. He's come also very close in making this the 18-man squad for matches and being selected. So I think he's just got to be patient, the same level of patience that if you speak to Brian Onyango, he had to show the same level of patience, and look where he is now. And Toby Mvala is had to show a lot of patience, and look where he is now. You could say the same about Divine Lunga. He got an opportunity. He set up the third goal for Peter against TS Galaxy. Aubrey Mudiba, you could say the same. So it's not just George, but a lot of other players that are in that position. Gaston Sireno, unfortunately now also with a relapse, but the reality is when you have a squad like this, you have to try to make sure that you push yourself, and that's what George has done. George has done probably the most difficult thing that a football player can ever do, and that's to come to training every single day, be professional, work extremely hard, put a smile on your face. And even when you know that there's a huge possibility that you might not make the squad, and that is very, very difficult. But George does that consistently and with aplomb, and that just goes to show the level of maturity, the level of experience, and also the human being that he is. So good things come to good people, and if he continues to show that same attitude and hunger, I'm sure for sure when he gets his opportunity, he'll be ready and he'll grab it with both hands. But that's the same type of talk that we could have for all the other players that I've mentioned who are yet to receive consistent opportunities.
Thank you, Chris Dube.
Thanks, Fatu. Coach Alo, in your analyzing of this ABC Motsepe team, what did you make of the quality of that league, Coach? What have you seen there? We've always thought of it. It was supposed to be some sort of like a feeder developmental league, but you yourself have seen even 30-year-olds are there, and many former players find themselves there. What have you made of the quality of that league? And has anybody spoken of the number 24 in your squad as you prepare for tomorrow? Thanks.
But 24 in our squad are there.
24 nil. Do you remember a certain 24 nil?
Oh, 24 nil. Yeah, power lines. We can't live in the past. It's very difficult, Chris. It was a huge achievement by a very talented group. That group, like this group, worked very hard and does not deserve the comparisons to any group. But like this group also, I mean, this is a group that has done incredible things, has broken so many records, has gone to continue to play the type of football that is synonymous with Mamelodi Sundowns, while still trying to maintain a winning culture. And because of their efforts, this group also doesn't deserve to be playing games with the pressures put by the previous groups. So that has very little to do with how we approach the game. We always look to win every single match. Our mentality, win or lose in the previous game, it means that we go into the next game again and try to win it. It doesn't matter which game we play, who we play against. Our preparation is towards trying to make sure that we can win the match. What do I make of the level of the ABC Motsepe League? Unfortunately, I am not privy to the Free State stream. I watched the game that they played in the previous round in the Nedbank. I saw the team, the profile of the team, and there does seem to be an indication that there's a very good level of coaching. After they scored the first goal, you could see even tactical boards coming out and instructions given to the players in terms of trying to advance the performance and accelerate the possibilities of getting a better result. And a couple of minutes later, they scored the second from a very difficult situation where the opposition was on the counter-attack, and they then forced the play to the side on the left. They conceded the throw-in, and from there was a counter-attack, which, as I said, you've got to be very careful of their front three. They've got very fast. Koloi is quick. Rashford is quick. Simunye is quick, and they've got very good relationships with the ball, so they can hurt you on that. But yeah, I've got my feelings about the ABC Motsepe League, because I also, in fact, just generally on amateur football and the way things happen there, because I'm involved in that work and in that space with Black Poison. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do as a country to try to maximize the talent pool and try to increase the quality of players that we produce. And of course, amateur football could be one of the greatest resources if we were to utilize it correctly in this country. If you look at a country like Brazil, for an example, part to their success is not necessarily the academy structures. And of course, they are very strong in that space. They invest a lot in youth football and that organized space, but their mass participation and amateur football space is incredibly vibrant, and the amount of investment put into the space of futsal or beach football or even these street football games that they participate in the favelas. These are the games that have helped the country to sustain this quality in producing talented football players. We have because of the geographic profile of our country, and maybe even the socio-economic profile of our country, we have very similar profiles to Brazil, and possibly maybe if we were to take a leaf out of their book, we could maximize the possibilities of utilizing amateur football, because there is an opportunity for some of those players to be moved into the professional space. But of course, that's not my space. I think SAFA have a technical director, and they've got people that drive these things. And hopefully, in the near future, we will continue to work towards the betterment of South African football, and that is to the benefit of not just SAFA and the PSL, but also for the clubs and for the holistic success and standard of South African football.
Thank you. Last question, front runner.
Thank you, Fatu. Morning, everyone. Coach, can you please shed some light into how Teboho Mokoena has adapted at Sundowns ever since he arrived at Clorcop, into the schemes of how the team plays and just the lifestyle of being a Sundowns player? Thank you.
Yeah, we've been pleasantly surprised by his abilities. He already shows a lot of maturity. He shows a lot of competitive experience, and I mean competitive experience in the sense that he's played a lot of games where there were games of consequence, be it for Super Sport, in fighting for league titles, in fighting for cup games, and playing in finals, semi-finals with Super Sport. So that regularity is there. Confederations Cup. Traveling even with the team to play in Lubumbashi against TP Mazembe and the like. So that competitive experience is helpful for him. He provides us possibilities to cover a lot of positions. He can give us an 8, he can give us possibly a 10. He can cover us possibly as a 6. So those 3 positions are generally positions that we know that his versatility can come in very handy in covering those positions. I do also think that in a certain way he can probably play as a false 9 because of his ability to be press resistant, his ability to shoot and connect with the ball closer to the box. But there's a lot of work still to be done. A lot of work still to be done. The tactical aspects, we are trying to get him to improve. We're trying to get him to improve his body position. We're trying to get him to improve his ability to scan and search for information on the pitch 4 or 5 seconds before being involved on the ball. We also trying to get him to recognize space a lot better and to play a lot more braver, particularly in deeper positions where he's an 8 or as a 6, where we're trying to give him that confidence to play a lot more forward and vertical passes, passes that are able to find our 10s and bring the game closer to the box. But a good kid, very, very good human being with coachability, second to none, great athleticism and physical profile. And brings a very good competitive edge into the squad. So we are in that space, and we're just fortunate that we are able to have so many good players available for us, because in that space you still have possibly one of the best midfielders this season in Andile Jali. You've got Rivaldo. You still have George, as you said. You've got Toby Mbala. You've got Umkulisi, who's done very, very well in the last 2 games. And very soon you're going to have Lebo Maboe back into that space competing for a position. So we eagerly await Lebo's return and see what that is going to bring into the positions and the competition for starting positions, particularly in those roles. But yeah, Debza, we're very happy with him. We spoke and we said he's someone that's got possibilities to assist and score goals, and he's already done that. So his efforts and his work has managed to prove us right, and as long as we are in that space, hopefully we can continue to get the best out of him.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach, and thank you to all members of the media.
Fatu,
okay, Coach.
Before you leave, I know it's difficult, and I know it's not part of the script, but I have a humble plea, man, to the members of the media. I have a humble request, because we sit in a situation where to speak only about football during these times makes it very, very difficult. I would like the media to do a lot more speaking and a lot more investigation on the importance of mental health within our society, and in particular, how that affects performances at elite level. And I think there is, I spoke a little bit earlier about the pandemic that could raise its ugly head in South African football. But there is one already that is already raising its ugly head and is gaining momentum in society. It's a pandemic that's affecting the poor, the rich. It's It doesn't care of gender. It doesn't care of skin or color or racial ethnicity. It attacks everybody. And depression is a topic that I think needs a lot more of our attention to try to fight this this monster that is really raising its head and fighting our people in society. So it is just a humble play, and I make it because I always say to you guys that football is the most important of the least important things in life, and there are certain things that are more important in life, including life itself. And I think with the advancement of society, with the predominant growth of the volume and the voice that you get on social media, I think it becomes very, very important that we look for ways to discuss this thing so that we kill any sort of stigma attached to it. And once you discuss it in the open, you give people a little bit more confidence to voice out their demons that they might be combating and facing. But also in the certain point, you also try to make sure that you improve the performances in a certain way and try to alleviate some of these social ills that are attached to a lot of what we see, because a lot of what we see in relation to depression and a lot of suicidal sort of cases, you understand how closely related it is to substance abuse, alcohol, drugs. You understand how closely related it is to gender-based violence. And in that moment, we understand that we are going through a very difficult time as a society. The world at large is going through very difficult times. And for us, we sit in positions of privilege where we've got game after game after game. And sometimes it makes us a little oblivious to the realities that the world is facing. But I think we need to speak up a little bit more about this thing. And even when you look at the last couple of cases, you know, it brings a little bit of a somber mood to how we feel and how we look out for each other and the type of relations and interrelations that we have, particularly also because of the previous pandemic that we've had that voiced out the importance of social distancing, and that has put us in an even more difficult and precarious position as a society, because people are now dealing with a lot of things alone, you know, because it's now normal to be isolated and distant from communities, from loved ones and from friends. So my play, and again, maybe I should apologize for off-ramping and stealing some of your time, but my humble request is that we join this fight and we try to save our people and try to play a little bit of a part in making sure that we understand and we show ourselves to be part of our people and part of our communities, so that the general outlook of the future of this country looks to be in better hands, and we can all galvanize strength and see a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Coach, thank you very much for those words. I think it's very important. And yeah, I think it's probably gonna be, you know, we can't end it here. It has to be an ongoing conversation. Maybe there needs to be, you know, platforms. I saw there was 1 or 2 hands from the media. I don't know if they wanted to respond with regards to that or whether it was something else. Do you still have time, Coach? Do you have like 2 minutes?
Yeah, we can take 5 minutes. But I don't know, Shupi, you happy? 5 minutes.
Okay.
My boss saying we have 5 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Baden, you wanted to respond?
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Rhulani, it's Braden from Kickoff. And I was hoping you could just actually elaborate on what you just said. I'm very keen to know what are the specific challenges that soccer players specifically face when it comes to what you just mentioned with lockdown, dealing with lockdown and depression and things like this. Because to be frank, I actually was speaking to my friend, he plays in Morocco, and we were actually having a conversation like this where he was on the verge of tears because he was saying there's so much pressure and the crowd, they on his back all the time. So I'm wondering, with regards to Sundowns specifically, have you noticed an increase in like players approaching you with regards to dealing with these sorts of challenges? And is there steps that you as a coach or maybe the club are looking to take to maybe address this or help players?
Aiden, look, I don't want us to isolate it, and I spoke as Rhulani and not necessarily as the opinions of the club. Of course, in a leadership position and at times as a mouthpiece for the club, I represent Mamelodi Sundowns, and I try very carefully to speak in a language that I know that the club stands for. The values of this club are about the people, and that's why it's Butu Batu and people first. The family, the Motsepe family, has always spoken about their intentions to help the communities and in a certain way use football as a medium to drive across the betterment of society. Of course, they've got other projects that go beyond just football and their involvement in various other sports and in education, etc., etc. But the reality is football is just a microscopic reflection of society. We are football people for only 2 hours per day. And I say this all the time to the football players. They come to training, for that 2 hours that they are at Clorkop and within the confines of our training base, they are football players. But as soon as they leave, then for the rest of the 22 hours, they are integrated back into society. So all these challenges and social ills and a lot of the problems that we face in society are problems that are faced by football players. And just because they are football players doesn't mean they are immune to the challenges and the pressures that a lot of our people are facing outside within our communities. And therefore, it becomes very difficult for us to isolate it and make it only a football issue, because if you see what happens in society, where there is a huge stigma about speaking about mental health, and generally, culturally, particularly culturally, for us as a Black community and Black football players and men in particular, it is seen as taboo to speak about your problems, the pressures, the situations that you face. And ultimately, until it is too late and you cannot receive some form of support, my take, my thinking on it is that what is important is for us to kill this and to drive this narrative that mental health is very much like physical health, where you go to the gym and you want to be fit, not because you've got physical deficiencies, but because you want to improve your physical status. Spiritual health is also something that you don't go to church only because you've got problems and you want to pray. You go to church because you want to awaken, you want to strengthen your spiritual self and your spiritual part of your being, you know. And you can say the same even about mental health. And until it is a topic that is an open topic and that men in particular, and Black men also can engage in without feeling judged, without feeling categorized, then we can get into that space. But it goes beyond football. And the same sort of pictures we see in society about what happens in that space. And you look at what has heightened this is the number of people within the media space that we've lost. I mean, in the last month already, we lost 4. Of those 4, 3 were men, and of those 3 men, 2 committed suicide. That already tells you about the ratio in relation to what we see as heightened by the spotlight, by what they represented within their communities and within the country. But the reality is, how many of our own people in the communities who don't have the spotlight are suffering or have suffered from the same thing? So for me, it's not to just isolate it and make it only part of the voice coming for the celebrities and the people that of course they deal with heightened pressures, because the work that they do is in the spotlight. And generally, my work is in the spotlight. Everybody feels that they have an opinion about the mistakes that I have and can judge me on the mistakes that I have only because my work is on TV. But how many people work behind the scenes, are chartered accountants, are lawyers? How many people are not whose work is not exposed to the public? How many of those people have issues in their workplaces, have issues with having lost their jobs, and then have to deal with providing for their families, but cannot find ways to do so because of what we've gone through as a country? I mean, there's a lot of things that could be integrated into this discussion, but I raised this because this is the platform that I am fortunate to have. But it becomes very difficult to sit in a position of privilege, like I say, where we do not try to highlight this thing and try to galvanize some form of discussions about these things, so that we can ease this stigma and ease this cultural cognitive bias that is attached towards depression and mental health. And really, I hope you understand that I'm not even trying to move away from this discussion and the importance of football. But like I said a little bit earlier, at times there are far more important things to life than football, and some of them are happiness, mental health, family, and those things are things that should be given a louder voice than some of the things sometimes that we give a voice to.
Coach, thank you very much. Very, very good points. I'm sure we'll definitely pick up on this in the future. But let's end it here for now, because we've got another session coming up shortly. But yeah, all the best for tomorrow.
Thank you so much, and apologies for wearing my social worker hat, but I think it is something that needs to be spoken about within our communities, and hopefully the media can give us a voice so that we can fight this nasty pandemic that's upon us. But thank you so much, the members of the media. Thank you so much, Fatu. Thank you, Shupi. Thank you, lady team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.